Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And there is a storm coming in, Storm Agnes, so do take care out there. It's going to be particularly rough, I think. We've just got over the back end of an old volcano, what you're talking about, an old hurricane, of course, over the weekend. And now we've got a storm coming in as well. Really getting a battering, aren't we, at the end of September. But we've got a lot to get through today, so I just thought I'd give you a little storm warning, public service announcement. And I must admit, I'm taking a big risk. So I'm just going to share. I'm drinking tea, right? Nice cup of tea. Only I'm doing so in a white t-shirt. And I'm hoping to God I don't end up with a white t-shirt with a little black round tea stain there. That happens far too often. It's like, honestly, I'm like a 6-year-old. I come home or whatever. I come out in the evening and I look down at all food and things. Tell what I've had all day. Anyway, like I say, lots of stories to get through today. I did do that one very late last night with the breaking news about David McCallum, which was very sad. But it was done sort of, just broken, so I just did it in the front room there. So it was rather unprofessional in terms of putting a header on and everything. But it was just something that, oh my God, no, I just want to get that up and out. Because I really like David McCallum. Anyway, we have a story here, and so I'm going to say that if you're feeling ill, go to the doctors now, because if it's serious, you'll need to see a consultant, and that is going to be something that will be increasingly difficult to do, given the number of consultants that are leaving the NHS through sort of retirement and things, and the very, very much lower number that are being recruited. There is a massive crisis in numbers for consultants in the Scottish NHS. So you need to be aware of this and see why are so few willing to join what is generally a failing and crumbling service, massively, of course, due to the lack of funding. And we'll take a look at this and see what's going on. Here goes. So SNP blamed for impeding NHS crisis amid increasing number of consultants retiring. It's the consultants retiring, but it's not the fact that they retire that's the issue, of course. It's the lack of replacements. A healthy sort of throughput of doctoring isn't an issue. Indeed, what happens is the older ones go. Now you argue, yes, they've got all the experience, but the younger ones are the ones that have come up learning all the newer techniques, the newer medications. And so you always should have that healthy mix of very experienced, but also the very new with the latest. And of course, if you are losing all your top consultants but not replacing them at the bottom, it's not good for anyone. Certainly, it means that the consultants that remain are going to be under increasing pressure, which may even force them out at a faster rate. So it is an absolute crisis. I mean, make no two bones about it. It is absolutely important that this trend is reversed. Anyway, Scotland and Union unearthed statistics which found that senior doctors in hospitals were retiring at a quicker rate in recent years, with many not being replaced. Either, they don't have the money for the post, or they just can't get people to go to some of these hospitals. So the SNP have been blamed for a potentially impending NHS crisis after it was revealed that the number of consultants retiring from Scotland's health has increased by almost 50% in the last 3 years alone. This shock news comes amid growing pressures on doctors and one of the toughest winters of all time incoming. Now, you've got to look that from the 3 years ago, this was the COVID crisis. Now, a lot of pressure was put on doctors, and not all of it, we will say, will be medical pressures. But there's a lot of political pressure brought in on these hospitals as well, and that would have driven people to the edge to make a decision and whatever. So that you have that. It's been, let's say, it's been a very busy time. For various reasons. We're not going to cast blame at this point, because it generally has been across the whole of Britain. 3 years ago, everything was there, everything went up the air, because nobody really knew what they were doing. But the fact that even continuing since then, there's been no normality. Now, that can be laid at the door of the SNP. Anyway, getting back, new figures revealed by the campaign group Scotland in Union showed that there were 133 consultants who decided to hang up the stethoscope in 2019-2020. But this number skyrocketed to nearly 200 last year, prompting concerns about staffing levels across the country's health service. Earlier this week, warnings were issued to Scottish Government Health Secretary Michael Matheson about significant concerns around winter preparedness in the NHS. This is due to a huge backlog of operations and also long waits in A&Es, massively long. The consultant retirements in 2022-23 included 62 in Greater Glasgow and Clyde, 32 in the Lothians, 27 for Grampian, and last year's total was also a slight increase on 2021-22, up from 195. So it's basically holding firm on last year, but it's still a very large number. And this is consultants that are not being replaced, or at least not being fully replaced. A recent study by Dundee University found that nearly half of all senior doctors over the age of 50 intended to retire early. And I don't blame them. I really don't. It's such a stressful job. I mean, and you're dealing with people, and it's no reflection. They've worked hard. They've done this. They've done a marvellous service for many years. But you get to a point when you're in your 50s, life starts getting a bit hard, you know, because you have your own health to consider. And these guys are under tremendous stress. And this stress doesn't do your own health any good. So I honestly can't blame them for going. But you need to get them replaced. Anyway, last month, doctors urged the Scottish Government to ramp up efforts to fill consultancy vacancies. This is because of the 733 attempts to hire consultants for vacant posts. 306, nearly half of them, were cancelled due to a lack of applicants or no suitable candidates being found. Pamela Nash, Chief Executive of Scotland in Union, described every retirement as a blow and as a loss of vital experience, and creates a gap which then needs to be filled. And she added the fact that such events have increased by almost 50% in the last 3 years is of huge concern and places even more strain on a health service which is already under immense pressure. Perhaps £8.5 million a month spent on spin doctors could perhaps be spent on real doctors. What do you say? And we know who's spending the £8.5 million on spin doctors, don't you? It's the SNP. This is entirely an SNP created issue. Of course, many of these will be hard-working professionals who reach the age of retirement and are now having a well-deserved rest. But there's also suspicion that the working environment has become so challenging, it's simply not worth their while to stay longer. And this is what I say. When one goes, it increases the strain on the next. And when you have him or her going as well, the relative strain increases on all of them remaining, and so forth. And you get this vicious cycle. Till eventually, nobody wants to do the job. What you need to do is to stop spending £8.5 million a month on spin doctors, start hiring real ones, and start easing the pressure. Easing the pressure on the other workers, easing the pressure on the NHS in total. Get the backlog down. If you have sufficient people in there, you can get that backlog down massively. Target it. Look where your largest waiting lists are. Every month, say, what section has got our largest waiting list? And go, right, picks an area. We'll hire 5 consultants. And you do that until you've spent your £8.5 million a month. So you can do all this for free. It doesn't cost anything because you're already spending that money. You're just reassigning the money from one area to another. But look at the benefit. You're getting lots more staff. You're getting actual staff rather than wankers going through files to see what would make a good story. And you're shortening waiting lists. The optics will look good if nothing else. And you can do it for free. Do I really need to come up there and run the country for you? SNP. Anyway, the SNP government has been in sole charge of the NHS in Scotland for more than 16 years and has to take full responsibility for the staffing, and it cannot allow a situation to develop where, because of a lack of forward planning, retiring consultants aren't replaced and hard-working staff and patients are left to suffer. And this is what's happened. This is exactly what's happened. They aren't putting the effort in to replace them. Who knows why? So it is a joke. I mean, and you're going to be struggling. You'll be struggling to see a consultant soon. I think it's bad now. Imagine how worse it's going to be when you lose half as many consultants again next year. It's a joke, and it's an area that they could fix so very easy, as I explained. Anyway, I'm going to stop there and come up. As I say, the SNP waste money left, right and centre for totally inexplicable reasons. And so the decisions they make, they are deliberate decisions. They must make these decisions. Let's spend this money on a spin doctor. Nobody accidentally hires these people. Then they look at the state of the NHS and they go, well, yeah, we could spend this money actually on patient care, but it's much more important that we spend this money on spin doctors. I don't think that's right. I don't think that it is more important that you spend it on spin doctors. And given the limited resources, none of it should be spent on anything to do with any kind of independence base. I mean, you can certainly pull back all those foreign missions all over the world that you have, these little pretendy embassies that aren't really embassies. You can cut back on your foreign travel. You can cut back on so many different areas. And the difference that would make to people would be astounding. And it's one of those areas where it doesn't necessarily cost anything, because the money you're currently spending is money on waste. It's not money on other services. You could actually get away with increasing services at a net zero cost, and that would benefit the people. So why do the SNP not want to benefit the people? Why do they want to constantly push their agenda? Because they don't care about the people, isn't it, ultimately? Anyway, I shall stop there. We all know this anyway, don't we? I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit that subscribe button. We're getting very close to a nice little target now. It'd be nice to hit that target very, very soon. And I rely on you. This channel relies on you and the good people out there who seek the truth. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and keep an eye out in case you have to see a doctor, because chances are you could be in trouble. Bye.